Good morning, my dear students, and once again, I welcome you back to the English online classes. Hope all your holidays related to Deepavali went off very nicely and you all had enjoyed the holidays and definitely the festival as well. So, now it's time for us to again come back to our lessons and go through our studies. So, and I also hope that the recall videos which I had put of this chapter, because it's quite a lengthy one and quite a big gap is coming, that's why I put all the videos which I have prepared regarding this chapter 1 twice and O level as a recall video. You might have just gone through it, and right now I'm planning to continue with the next part of the chapter, the continuation. Before that, a very quick recall, let us have it. And in this chapter, we people have seen that the hero of the chapter, the story revolves around one prisoner named as Evans, James Roderick Evans. It's his full name, and he is a prisoner who suffers from a disease called as kleptomaniac, and he wishes to give the O level German examination from the prison, and for that arrangements were made. But there was a hitch in this, that was he had already escaped thrice from the jail, so the jail people or the prison people were a little concerned about this man and really whether he wanted to give the examination, but they could not deprive him of this fact that he can get education from the jail as well. So the arrangements were made, the examination board also agreed for it, and then the examination was conducted under the invigilation of a priest named as Reverend McClary. And lots of security measures were taken so that Yuan cannot make use of this examination as an excuse to escape from the jail, and the governor was very particular about it. He even bugged his cell in which the examination was going to be conducted to keep a watch on him all the hours, 3 hours that the examination was going to take place, and everything was going on smoothly with one prison officer recruited outside, deputed outside, who was keeping a close watch on him. Every now and then, every minute you can say, was keeping a close watch on him, and the examination was conducted with a little bit of call from the secretary, assistant secretary of the examination board regarding some corrections in the slip. Then there are a few timings which I had been telling you to be very careful with, like the examination was supposed to start at what time, and then the scheduled time it could not start, and then after that how the examination in between, the talk was there. Then at 11:20, the 11:22, Jackson got a call from the governor stating that wants to speak to Stephen, and then there was talk between Stephen and governor, and then the exam got over and Stephen escorted, means he took McClary to the prison main gate, and then we have seen all those kind of things. And at the last, when Stephen was coming back, he had that something, that feeling that keep on itching you or keep on poking to you, that just let me have a check once more. So before he could go for a cup of coffee, he just wanted to check on Yvonne that everything is okay in his cell, and he decided to go and just check it. I think this is what we people have done in our previous video, and it's time for us to continue with the chapter. And here, let's continue. He re-enters D wing, made his way along the Ivan's cell, and opened the peephole once more. Oh no, Christ, no. There, sprawled back in Ivan's chair, was a man. For a semi-second, Stephens thought it must be Ivan's. A grey regulation blanket slipping from his shoulders, the front of his closely cropped, irregularly tufted hair awash with fierce red blood which had dripped already through the small black beard, and was even now spreading horribly over the white clerical collar and down into the black clerical front. Okay, oh my god, what was this? Stephen, from inside, something was going on, pinching him to go and check Ivan once, though everything seems to be very alright. So he just, before going for that cup of coffee, he just decided to go there, and he went there. And when he peeped inside, means when he looked inside, it was like, oh my god, what happened? So what he had witnessed, that you just listen carefully. What he had visualized over there. He saw that Ivan's chair. You remember that what I have told you about the sitting arrangement? Ivan's chair was straight into the view of the person who will be looking through the peephole. And the back of the invigilator was towards the door. Okay, so now when he looked through the peephole, he saw that on Ivan's chair, who is supposed to sit down? Ivan only is supposed to sit down. And you remember that at one particular place, Ivan said to McClary that I'm feeling slight cold, chilly over here, and because of that reason, can I cover myself with the blanket? And he wraps himself with the blanket. Remember that case? Yes. So when he looked inside, he saw that on Ivan's chair, one man was lying down, means like the tilted towards one side and lying down, like someone has been hit hard and made to sit down on the chair, like a semi-conscious type, no? And man was sitting down, and for one particular moment he thought maybe it is Ivan, because that blanket was on top of it. But then that blanket started slipping from the shoulder of that man, and what was in view was really terrible. First thing, what was seen by him, that the front of his closely cropped, irregularly tufted hair wash, means nicely cropped hairs were there. And you remember, our Ivan's hairs were long hairs which he had kept inside that bobbly hat. Okay, so first thing that, and from that hair, like blood was oozing out. It was just flowing, dripping, and then it was wetting up. That blood was soaking the black beard, and then it started spreading over the white clerical collar. You remember what I told you? That father, that priest, he was wearing a black clerical coat, and then on top in the front near the neck, one white color of band. If you remember, I told you that how then the foreign and all the ministers, means the priest and all, they wear on their dress. So here that white collar was full with red blood, and that red blood was all over the black clerical front as well. Now you think over whether Ivan was wearing all those things. No. Then who was wearing? Yes, the priest who came for the invigilation purpose, that person was wearing all those things. And right now, friend of Stephen on the chair, he can see that man who was wearing all those things soaking in red blood. Okay, so what might have happened? Who might have gone out? So there many questions are there, but right now let us see what this chapter tells about. Stephens shouted wildly for Jackson, and the words spread to penetrate the curtain of blood that veiled McClary's ears, for the minister's hand felt feebly for a handkerchief from his pocket and held it to his bleeding head, the blood seeping slowly through the white linen. He gave a long, low moan and tried to speak, but his voice trailed away. And by the time Jackson had arrived and dispatched Stephens to ring the police and the ambulance, the handkerchief was a sticky, squenchy wad of cloth. Okay, Stephen, when he saw the scene inside the cell through the peephole, he just shouted like anything and called Jackson, the senior prison officer. And then the words which he had said to Jackson, it looked like as if though it penetrated. Curtain of blood means you can say that flow of blood which was going over. It was wailing. Wailing means covering the ears. The blood was flowing from his head. Then it came over and covered his ears. Through that ears, that voice of Stephen went into the ears of McClary. And then minister, what he did when he heard the voice, he with his hands shivering feebly, he means shivering, weak, he put his hand in his pocket and took out the handkerchief, obviously to stop the blood which was coming out. And then he took the handkerchief and he held it on the head from where the bleeding was coming out, maybe to stop that bleeding. But where the bleeding is stopping, that blood has totally made that white handkerchief red in color, and so much of blood was there. And the man moaned, means in pain when you make noise, he moaned and he wanted to speak, he wanted to say something, but the voice trailed away. Means he was so badly injured that the voice just faded away, could not speak properly. And by the time Jackson came and he sent Stephen the for police and for the ambulance, that handkerchief, it has turned into a sticky scrunchy wadge of cloth. Means like how when you soak the cloth or otherwise a cotton ball into red ink, how it becomes a kind of a squelch, means like it becomes very soft and very slippery type. So that way it has, this handkerchief has also turned into a red wadge of cloth. Further, McCleary slowly raised himself, his face twisted tightly with pain. Don't worry about the ambulance, man. I'm all right. I'm all right. Get the police. I know. I know where he. He closed his eyes and another drip of blood splashed like a huge red raindrop on the wooden floor. His hand felt along the table, found the German cushion paper, and grasped it tightly in his blood-stained hand. Get the governor. I know where he wants. Okay, now Jackson came inside and he said to Stephen, go and get the ambulance and the police. Meanwhile, McCleary, our priest, seems to be very dedicated to his work. He gathered his strength, all his strength, he summoned all his strength and he raised himself. And his face twisted tightly with pain. It was like we people tighten up our jaw and try to hold the pain, like that. Only that kind of twisting came on his face, and he said, don't worry about the ambulance. He said to Jackson, man, don't worry about the ambulance, I'm okay, I'm all right, and I know where he. And by saying this, what he did, he closed his eyes, because one drop of blood over his eyes went, and then it fell on the wooden floor, like as if though the rain is falling, raindrops are falling down, like that. Only the red blood drops were falling down. And then his hand went and searched something on the table, and he got the German question paper. He grabbed that question paper tightly with his hand full of blood. That's why it is said blood stained hand. And then he said, get me the governor, get me the governor, I know where he wants, where he wants. This is what he said. Almost immediately, sirens were sounding, prison officers barked orders, puzzled prisoners pushed their way along the corridors, doors were banged and bolted, and the phones were ringing everywhere. And within a minute, McCleary, with Jackson and Stephen supporting him on either side, his face now streaked and caked with drying blood, was greeted in the prison yard by the governor, perplexed and grim. We must get you to hospital immediately. I just don't. You have called the police? Yes, they are on their way, but I'm all right. Look here. Awkwardly, he opened the German question paper and thrust it before the governor's face. It's there. Do you see what I mean? The governor looked down and realized what McCleary was trying to tell him. A photocopied sheet had been carefully and cleverly superimposed over the last, originally blank page of the question paper. Okay, now he said that I want to meet the governor, and then the entire prison was buzzing with all kinds of noise. The siren noise was there. The prison officers were shouting, barking orders, means they were shouting, screaming, giving orders. The prisoners were puzzled what had happened over there, and they were just moving about in the corridor, and everyone was put back into the prison, bolted up. And then the phones were ringing here and there everywhere. And within a minute, McCleary, with Jackson and Stephen, means he was given support from both the sides. They were carrying him on their shoulder by giving him support from either side, and his face was now streaked and caked with drying blood. Means the blood that was with a handkerchief, what he has done, he had tried to stop the blood. Okay, and then that blood had been dripping over his face also, and that blood had started drying up now. And because it was drying up, a kind of streaks, means lines, had come on his face, and not very clear the face was. But he reached front of the governor, and the governor, when he saw, he was totally like, what happened? And he was angry also. And then he said that, get him immediately to the hospital. Why don't you just do it? And then they said that Stephen and Jackson, they said, yeah, we have called the police also, and they are on their way. And then McCleary, what he said, she said, I'm okay, I'm all right, and just look at this. And in a very awkward manner, because situation was really awkward, he was like badly injured, something had been hit on him, and the blood was going on coming from his head, and literally it was dripping here and there. And in that situation also, he just stood front of the governor, and like on the face of the governor, he showed the question paper. See here, see what I want to say, what I want to tell you. And then when governor looked at the paper, he got it what he wanted to say. Actually, the question paper which came there, in that question paper, a photocopied sheet was also there between the last two blank pages of the question paper. Some kind of message or something in that paper, and it was kept between that, in that question paper over there. So let's see what message and all. And then, you see what they have done, governor? You see? His voice trailed off again as the governor, dredging the layers of long neglected learning, willed himself to translate the German text before him. Sie sollen dem Skan verabredeten Plan genau folgen, der Wichki Zitpunkt ist 3 Minuten vor Ende des Examens. Please don't mind, my German is not that good. You must follow the plan. It's the English version. You must follow the plan already something. The vital point in time is 3 minutes before the end of the examination. But something. Don't hit him too hard. Remember, he's a minister. And don't overdo the Scott accent when. Okay. He showed the governor and he said that, now do you understand what I'm saying? He said. And then his voice trailed off. Means he was not able to speak. He was badly injured after all. And then governor, from long time he had not learned German, though he had studied in his grades, lower grades, and he just tried to translate the German lines which were written over there. And the translation is like this, that the message was given that you must follow the plan as been made. Something was there then, which our governor could not read. So something matlab could not read. Okay, matlab means dash etc etc. Matlab. So that something is there. Then it is said that very important thing that has to be kept in your mind is that the last 3 minutes, that you have to be very careful with. And then something else is written. So that's why again governor could not understand. That's why it is given something. Okay, and then one instruction was there, two of it. Don't hit too hard. Whom? Obviously, the minister, the priest, the invigilator, McCleary. And it is said that he's a minister, he's a priest. Don't hit too hard. And one more thing, you remember that don't overdo. Means your Scottish accent. Don't let it be out clearly to the people. You remember when Stephen escorted McCleary out and he felt that the Scottish accent seemed to be much more polished, much more better than the McCleary who came inside? Yeah. Something ringing bells? Okay, let's see further. A fast approaching siren wailed to its crescendo. The great doors of the prison yard were pushed back and a white police car squealed to a jerky halt. Beside them, Detective Superintendent Carter swung himself out of the passenger seat and saluted the governor. What the hell's happening, sir? And turning to McCleary, Christ, who's hit him? But McCleary cut across whatever explanation the governor might have given. Elsfield Way, officer, I know where Evans. He was breathing heavily and leaned for support against the side of the car where the imprint of his hand was left in tarnished crimson. In bewilderment, Carter looked to the governor for guidance. What? Take him with you. If you think he'll be all right. He's the only one who seems to know what's happening. Carter opened the back door and helped McCleary inside, and within a few seconds of car, seconds, the car leaped away in a spurt of gravel. Okay, now what had happened? While this conversation was going on between McClary and Governor, suddenly there was siren ringing over there, and then a very fast one car approached over there, and it just like came fast and stopped suddenly, but just by the side of them. And from there, like all how Hindi movies, like how Singham jumped out from a jeep which was just swirling around and all like that only. The car has halted, but before it could stop properly, the detective superintendent Carter, he jumped out of it, and he saluted the governor, and he said that, what the hell is going on, sir? And then he saw McClary with all the blood over there, red blood over all over. And he said that, who had hit him, God? And then McClary, before governor could say anything, McClary, he said that, Elsfield way, I know where he was. And then he started breathing heavily. Injured, my dear children, he was injured badly. And then he was so injured he could not stand, so he just leaned means he took the support of the car, and he just tried to take the support with his hand. And already I told you his hand was fully blood stained, blood was there. He tried to stop the bleeding, no? And that hand mark came on the window of that vehicle, and it was like a tarnished crimson. It's when blood starts drying, red color starts drying up, somewhat like a brick color, it starts coming up. And then in surprise, Carter looked at the governor, what I'm supposed to do, like that sort. And bewilderment means like surprise type, that what I'm supposed to do. And then the governor, he said that, you do one thing, take him with you if you think that it's okay, because he's the only person who knows what actually had happened over here and where to find Yvonne. And then Carter, very respectfully, he opened the back door of the vehicle and helped McClary to get inside. And then within a few seconds, the car just moved off from there in the spurt of gravel, means like धूल उड़ाता है ना, so that way it has gone over from there. One word over there is there, that crescendo means the loud noise of the siren. That is what the meaning. I just missed off that, that's why I am reminding you people. So now McClary was off from there, so let us see what's further stored over there. Elsfield Way, McClary had said, and there it was, staring up at the governor from the last few lines of the German text. From Elsfield Way right to the Headington roundabout, where, yes, of course, the examination board was in Elsfield Way, and someone from the board must have been involved in the escape plan from the very beginning. The question paper itself, the correction slip. The governor turned to Jackson and Stephens. I don't need to tell you what's happened, do I? His voice sounded almost calm in its scathing contempt. And which one of you two morons was it who took Evans for a nice little walk to the main gates and waved him bye-bye? It was me, sir, stammered Stephens. Just like you told me, sir. I could have sworn. What? Just like I told you, you say? What the hell? When you rang, sir, and told me to. When was that? The governor's voice was a whiplash now. You know, sir, about 20 past 11, just before. You blithering idiot man, it wasn't me who rang you, don't you realize? But what was the use? You had used the phone at that time, but only to try, unsuccessfully, once more, to get through the examination board. He shook his head in growing despair and turned on the senior prison officer. As for you, Jackson, how long have you been pretending you have got a brain? Yeah? Well, I'll tell you something, Jackson. Your skull's empty. Absolutely empty. It was Jackson who had spent 2 hours in Yvonne's cell the previous evening, and it was Jackson who had confidently reported that there was nothing hidden anywhere there. Nothing at all. And yet Evans had somehow managed to conceal not only a false beard, a pair of spectacles, a dog collar, and all the rest of his clerical paraphernalia, but also some sort of weapon with which he had given McClary such a terrible blow across the head. Oh, okay. Now that McClary had left with Carter, now the time for a little review. So, Elsfield Way. That's what McClary had said. And then governor got the last few lines of that photocopied paper, which was there between the question paper, which was written in German. It was written there that first you go to Elsfield Way, and from there you go to Headington Roundabout. Yeah, then he realized the examination board is in Elsfield Way, so that means that from the board someone was involved in this plan. You think otherwise, how is it possible to send that photocopied message in the question paper? Definitely the correction slip. Then the governor, he turned to Jackson and Stephen and he said that, do I have to tell you what had happened over here? Now his voice was like full of sarcasm and a lot of anger, and he asked, out of you two morons, to make you understand it clear, little easily, we can say stupids, donkeys. So it was like, तुम दो गधों में से मुझे बताओ कौन है वो. This is the way how he said actually. He said that, who is that person who had very nicely taken Evans for a walk to the main gate and said bye-bye to him? By now you might have understood. If injured McClary is lying down inside, then who has gone out with that polished Scottish accent and the overcoat, coat gone little slimmer and all those things? So when he said that, who is that person who had taken him to the main gate and said bye-bye to him? Then Stephen very quietly he said, sir, it is me. But I did what you said. Then governor said that, what I said, when I said. Then he said that, sir, you rang up and you said. Then governor's voice like a whiplash, means like a whip hitting, no? He said that, when did I said that thing? Then he said, sir, 11:20. You remember? Governor bent forward to pick up the receiver. Then at 11:22, Jackson shouted and said to Stephen that governor want to speak to him. Yeah. He said that it was not me. But now what is the use of telling all those things? Everyone knows that now no use is there. Obviously, it has all been plotted out. Then governor looked at Jackson and he said that, Jackson, one thing I wanted to ask you. You pretend that you are very smart, na? But I'll tell you one thing. You got an empty skull. तुम बहुत दिखाते हो कि तुम्हारे पास बहुत दिमाग है, लेकिन actually तुम्हारा सर बिल्कुल खाली. That's what he said. Absolutely empty. Because Jackson was the only person who had inspected each and every corner of Ivan for at least 2 hours, and he had given the report that there is nothing. But still, Ivan got the false beard, he got the spectacles, he got the dog collar. Dog collar means the front part, the white one, and all those rest of the things. Plus, something with which he had hit McClary so hard on his head. From where all those things came? So, he was like very angry with Jackson. So, let's give a halt to the explanation for today, and we'll continue with the rest in the next class. Till then, goodbye, take care.